Hey Anne, welcome to Diary 101 podcast. I am your host, Akakandelwa Kandepwe, also known as Aka. Part of me feels like maybe I should start introducing myself with my full names, like two other names I don't mention. I just think it's fun. I do it for fun when I meet new people, because then they go like, you have so many names, and I'm like, so much fun. But anyway, I'm very excited about this guest. The energy is high, and I feel like it's one of those things I've been looking forward to doing after watching his work online. And I feel like it's either I meet you at an event or I meet you on LinkedIn and I'm like, I want that person on the podcast so that I can just pick on their brain and learn from them. So today's guest is a marketing professional with over a decade of experience in shaping brands across agencies, banking, and consultancy. He's currently the marketing executive of Yango Zambia. Please welcome Phatiswayo. Hi, Phatiswayo.
Hi, Aka. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks so much for saying yes.
I will say it again. Yes.
Okay. We get it. From a scale 1 to 10, we're mid-year. So how do you feel about the year so far?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I think I feel a solid, I want to say 7.5 to 8. And I'll give you some context. I just feel like there's certain things that professionally didn't go according to plan in terms of, I think, socioeconomic evolution in the market, right? So that kind of makes me feel like, oh man, maybe missing out on a certain opportunity to show up differently. But I also like to look at every glass half full. So this is why I said 7.5 to 8. So there's the 8%, there's the 80% that I'm like, you know what? We're here. We've done something right, surely. So yeah, that's how I feel on that scale.
I love that you're at 75 to 80. It's such an amazing scale. You're making me reflect on myself. And I'm like, what happened this year for me? Because when I asked that question, I said a solid 5. A solid 5. What's important is I actually reached July and I'm alive.
However, I feel like a solid 5 is fair because we can look at it
Yeah.
this way. As the year is split in two, right? There's the first
Mm-hmm.
6 months and then the subsequent. So we can say, 5 out of 10 for the first 6 months, and then you might find yourself saying, here's another 5 to complete it and make it a 10 out of 10. So, there's still some hope.
There's still time and some hope. But I'll probably say at the end of the year, a solid 7. I cannot I
No,
cannot.
let's push for a 9.
That's a stretch. But
No,
but
let's
also I'm
push for
very different. I'm doing something new and I
9.
have made big transitions over the next few months.
Uh-huh.
So I'm in my learning curve. I think the next 2 years is all about learning about what I'm doing, the business, what we're building, where we're at, and also building my expertise in that. So on my end individually, I think that if I am too high when I'm still in my learning curve, it's just going to stretch me so much. But if I take my time to just learn what I'm supposed to learn and be content with the results I'm getting in my learning curve, because I know that when I'm out of, you never stop learning, obviously, but when you're a beginner, there's that type of learning you're doing. When you become an expert, there's a different type of learning. So I do know that when I'm done with my learning curve and the season I'm in, it's going to be like a solid 8. And also I like to leave room for disappointment. So I'll always
That
be
is
like at an
so
8. Yeah,
that
so
is that is so interesting because I try to never leave any room for disappointment, Aka, to be honest. I don't even know how to take my mind there, and perhaps that's a whole other episode. of
Yes.
conversation, but just high level. I try not to leave any room for eventualities. When they come, should they come? If they come, then we'll handle it at that point. But I don't want to anticipate that. But I think one of the things that I find really, really pivotal that you've just mentioned is being in the learning phase, right? Um, and mine is to just kind of figure out because I've always felt like I don't have the most curious mind. I don't think that I'm as inquisitive as I'm now starting to be. However, I'd like to find out from you how learning allows you to then kind of become a master of the various trades that you are upskilling yourself to understand. There may be any tricks, any kind of tips that you have that maybe can, fuel my ambition.
I think that I'm such a curious person. I always want to know. And I don't think when from the outside someone would ever think I'm such a curious person. But I am such a curious person. I want answers
Hmm.
at all given time. Like I am that person. I'm like, can you just tell me? Can you just tell me?
Hmm.
So, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Which is a good thing. Which is a strength and a weakness. So yes, I'll use strength and weakness. Which is a strength and a weakness in different seasons, right? It's a strength when I am like in the season I am in, where I am building a company, I am growing the podcast. We are trying to figure out how certain things will work for the company, putting out systems, working with different individuals. The curiosity just gives me room to try things, new stuff, and be open minded, which is so great for growth, right? Like, very good for growth.
Hmm.
But then this same curiosity is such a weakness for me because then I get bored easily. So when things stop being challenging, I get bored. And
That is very interesting.
my
Yeah.
my lifespan for things and people who I'm not related to, mostly, if you've known me for more than 2 years, you are past the life cycle of me getting bored as an individual. That's just a joke, but anyway, true as well.
That is
But
so
even
that is so
so,
cool.
even with
Yeah.
jobs and things that I do, in a
Hmm.
year, like I give myself a solid year. A solid
Hmm.
year. If I am past, if my year is coming up, then I'm done. So my family, my uncle likes to always say that, depending on how challenging it is, because I like challenging stuff, I like trying things new. I will complain about it, obviously, but I enjoy a good challenge. Like I enjoy learning new
Right.
skills and everything. My uncle says, I know when you're bored. So he literally entertains me. He's like, you're bored, hey? Okay, cool. Maybe we should try this with the company. Or he has a company as well. Like, maybe we should try this and that and that. Maybe I should change your department so we can upskill that skill. So, which is
Hmm.
such a weakness when you're building a company, because I can't get bored of my own company. I can't get bored. I can't get bored of the podcast because we do it consistently every year. So,
Hmm.
a strength and a
Hmm.
weakness. But overall, I think what I've done is I have learned to learn what season I'm in. The pot is in the season of growth. So what I need is very different. The skills I had building the podcast are not the skills I will use to upscale it,
Right,
because
right.
then it's very different. So I think it's really just knowing what season you're in and what type of a person you are. I can describe myself very well. When I walk in a room, what I'm most likely to do, I joke around it a lot.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
am most likely to be at the back drinking wine or eating food. If you find me talking, there's a high possibility I know the person pretty well or very well acquainted. But I know myself very well, so even in a work environment or building a company, I know what I am most likely to do and not likely to do. So just the awareness for me is what helps me make decisions on what I will do and not do. So I think the hack is just awareness. What type of person are you? What are your default settings? When you know all that, it helps you navigate that, because you always can't be in your default setting. Life doesn't work like that. It's not a Nigerian movie. I remind myself that every day. So so because of that, it's very interesting how I navigate. So the podcast is in the growth phase. The business is just starting out, so it's just a baby, it's just an infant. So that the two different, I would like to say the two different companies right now are at different phases and require different mindsets and how to run things around. And then you're one
Mm-hmm.
person, so it's very hectic. But again, very fun.
Mm.
It's a good challenge. So the key thing is it's still a challenge, but then different mindsets when when I am running the two. But again, it still feels like it's one organization because it's just the same people at the different points. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh wow. Oh wow. No, that's a lot to consider. I do enjoy hearing you talk about um self-awareness, and I think for me, 100% it is exactly what I tapped into as I was, I think, realizing my passions and my interests and my strengths, more in particular around my professional life. Definitely just being very self-aware for sure. I'm one person who, as much as earlier I'd alluded to the fact that I'm not the most inquisitive, once I know, whatever
Yeah.
it may be, once I know, then I'm like, all right, cool. I don't really want to just, and what I mean by that is once I discovered that I'm a marketing man through and through, and there's nothing in this world that I enjoy more than that. Once I realized that there's a part of me that is uh, a strong creative as well, and what that means expressing that um, in a Southern African, country, uh, you know, that is still developing and evolving. And all these things that I'm quite interested in. Once I had that awareness, and once, I expressed uh, what I needed to get the curiosity answered, then it's like, all right, cool. I don't really need too much more now because I know myself. I know where I'm taking this show, and I know what various things mean to me. So I love that we have some type of overlap in that regard. And I think it's also very important for me to say that I think you're doing a great job with the podcast, honestly. Um, and it just makes me more curious to see what's to come, because you had mentioned that the skills that you started um, started the podcast with are definitely not the skills that you have now that would then drive the scaling forward. So it's not me only. I'm sure there's several people listening to this episode who'd be like, ooh, what's next? Is she going to be, recording from the moon?
I wish. Astronauts in the Moon was the highlight of my year, and I think that's why it's at a 5. The best 10 days of my life was watching people in the moon.
No,
Um,
seriously.
yes. The best. I look back and I'm like, and my nephew wants to be a pilot. So I am like, don't you want to be an astronaut, darling? Don't you want to work for NASA? Like, I can make it happen. So yeah, it just takes me in mommy mode anyway. So
Oh.
what's next? Uh, if you asked me this in January, I would probably give you like a whole list. But now I
Mm.
think it's expanding the quality of the guests that we have. I had an amazing conversation with somebody a few days ago, and he's being pivotal on how that's going to look like, and he's more structured and detailed oriented than I am, and he's been very helpful. So I look forward to the next 6 months and seeing how pivotal we are going to be when it comes to the quality of guests that we have. I think we've had very small goals. Like, for example, this year our goal was just to rebrand and improve the quality of the audio of the podcast. And that is, I think we've done an amazing job for the last 6 months. And now it's more on how do we consistently have high quality guests and experts, and how do we still also indulge ourselves in guests in Zambia, because we have amazing international guests, but there's so
Hmm.
much talent in Zambia.
Right.
So the opportunity that I just had to speak to that individual and how helpful he is in just bringing our awareness to the type of people we could have on the guest. And also, we're just pivoting. So it's going to be more aligned to what the company is doing. I think 50% it's going to be an advocate for what Peak Pathways is doing in terms of conversation wise, what we want our listeners, our customers, our target audiences listening to. So, again, the person I talked to is amazing, and I'm really, really grateful because they brought me to light to people I never thought I would have on the podcast, and I just didn't have the awareness. I think everything is all about awareness at this point.
That's true.
If
That's
you
true.
don't know, you'd be like, there are no people, and I have a whole list of people now, and I'm like, this person existed. So yeah, that's what's next. I think if the sound, you've been listening to the podcast and the sound is great, please let us know. But now we always improve on that. Now it's just we want you to enjoy the conversations. We want you to listen to different experts in different fields and be like, I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know that existed. Oh my goodness. Okay, okay. And then you get to follow their work, you get to follow what's happening. I think we're not really paying attention to the tiny details happening in the country and in the continent. So just
Mm.
being a platform that does that, and especially for young people, it's so important for me. So yeah, like nothing major, just those tiny, tiny stuff on our end.
Just those tiny things,
Just
just the
the
small
little things
details.
that matter. When I was speaking, that got me to think. Earlier, you mentioned that when you find your niche, yeah, you always just stick to that for a while.
Yeah,
What got you into marketing, and was marketing your first choice?
right. That's a very, very good question. And honestly, I don't think I'll ever get tired of having this conversation around how I ended up in the space that I'm in. So, initially, I was in banking. Um, I I just have a knack for solving problems. And when I was in banking, I was in customer service, which ultimately is solving problems or just delivering on, service needs. So I was really good at that, and I just did it because, you need to work, is what I was told at the time, obviously, just fresh out of school. Um, and as time, moved forward, I became more confident and competent in what I was doing, and obviously was now more hungry for more responsibility. And there was a particular marketing agency that said that they were looking for managers to lead um, uh, brand accounts. And these managers, well, this one manager must specifically have experience with banking. And I was like, look, I have been in banking for years, and I've been in customer service. I'm not sure about marketing. I don't really understand that, but I know for sure I will be, uh, 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 a capable and fantastic account manager. So applied for it, got it. And as I was in this agency at the time, I just was enjoying it so much. I was enjoying it so much, and I was enjoying it so much. And the very funny thing is, every brief and every marketing campaign and every um, strategy, there were key parts of these conversations and these sessions that reminded me of what I've really been curious about since childhood. And I'm not being dramatic for the sake of it. I remember very specifically because when I was a young man, well, when I was a little boy, I remember I would be, maybe being driven around by parents, and I would look at a certain outdoor board, and I would say to myself, "Oh, I wish this, this picture looked this way, or maybe this font looked that way." And watching TV adverts, it was the same thing. It's like, maybe if that was a little bit shorter, or if this was a little bit more colorful. And then now, fast forward to being full grown and a professional in an agency. At first, where I was now discovering what marketing is and finally feeling like I connected to myself. And more and more, work stopped feeling like work. It felt like, obviously, it feels like work in terms of like, you have to, you know, report in the morning and knock off and those kinds of things. But I was not privy to the frustrations that I may have witnessed before, experienced before, in terms of like, oh my gosh, it's been such a long day and all that kind of thing. So, um, yeah, I think I definitely uh, I definitely very, very profoundly just, came into myself in marketing in that way. And ever since um uh then kind of like learning what I know and exercising it. I think what keeps me going is finding different ways. I don't really get bored because it's kind of finding different ways of doing maybe the same thing, or finding different ways to engage and get the best results out of various projects, so various types of messaging, various types of communications. So I think that definitely keeps me entertained, keeps me engaged, keeps me um, yeah. And I think because I think it was even earlier this week, I was thinking to myself, oh, it would be really nice to do ABC this time next year, just because I want to, maybe push my own limits. Um, so really that's the best way I think I can respond.
It's so interesting because earlier, when we were just catching up before the session, you mentioned that we met many, many years ago. Sax that I don't remember because you're very cool. We met
Ah,
many, many years ago, and
thank you.
you were at a radio station, right? I think you worked at Money, Money FM, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I don't know when you moved to banking, and also later on moved to got into marketing, and you've just briefly told us that.
Mm-hmm.
What what comes in mind when you think about making such transitions in different industries and fields?
Mm-hmm. All right. So at that time, yes, yes. I mean, you have forever been such a pleasure, Aka, honestly. And the interaction that I remember we had was just very brief. And when I say very brief, it was maybe just like, hi, hi, you know. And I think what is always very interesting about human beings, even such brief interactions can kind of like say a lot about people, And it was just very, very. I just remember feeling very warm and just kind of feeling like very curious, like who is this lady? She's come here, she's had a lot to say. Um, and it's funny how the world works, because then now we're having this like full-on chat. So at that time, I was just wrapping up my banking career, and then I didn't know it at the time, but then I was just about to step into a marketing agency. So I was kind of like still kind of in some kind of transition. So if I look back now and find myself, being a part-time presenter while being a banker, that should have maybe told me something, already, to say like, guy, because obviously I had the privilege and opportunity to largely create the shows that I was leading, and to do the research when I've got guests on air. So that is expressing creativity. Um, that definitely should have told me. And also trying to marry like the right brands to appear during certain hours of the day, and why that maybe would resonate more with these listeners and those listeners and these audiences that tune in at this time. Again, something that I wasn't taught theoretically. I didn't necessarily like study marketing completely. I mean, I had a course here and there for sure, but it's not like I hold like a full advanced diploma in marketing, let alone a bachelor's. So it's just, I think this is the first time that I'm talking about it in kind of like connecting, well, talking about it so publicly. I have had private conversations, but connecting where the story came in, and I'm very aware that not many people kind of realize their their selves, or have that kind of like, this is who I am and this is where my interests and my passions lie, and it can be monetized in this way or that way. But for me, it's definitely my reality. Um, and I think I do want to kind of like crack another layer at some point. I did mention I don't, I don't uh have the most curious mind, or maybe I'm being modest. I don't have the most curious life mind, but I think I'm reaching a point where I think I'm a little bit curious now, Mwe. Like, what else is there to be explored?
Okay. Interesting. I'm enjoying listening to you speak, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much for affording me the opportunity to just speak in the dark. Remember, just before we started the show, we were talking about how we are recording, and
In
I
the
had
dark.
mentioned, say, oh, I wasn't sure if we're recording in the dark or not. And just for everyone listening, this just basically is my way of saying, the cameras are off and it's just the audio that's on. So, bit of an inside joke, if you found it
I know.
funny.
I was like, should I mute myself and laugh? Because I'm doing that a lot. Let's go back to your curious mind. Why are you in the middle? Why do you think you don't have a curious mind? But also, I'm listening to you speak, and you're kind of having a realization that you do have a
Yeah,
curious mind.
yeah,
Is it maybe the way we define curiosity
absolutely,
and how
absolutely.
you are expressing it? Because I think I'm just trying to understand why you're in the middle.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely in the middle for a couple reasons. I think the first being that I'm one person that when I feel actualized, I think I get quite comfortable. And then now I create a certain scenario as my full um I don't want to say identity, but let's just say like it's like a full, imagine you're in a room, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the room is exactly the way you want it to be. It's got the tables and chairs you want. It's got all of those kinds of accessories, and you're like, "Ah, cool, the room is exactly how I want. It's got everything that I need." And then I'm just kind of like, content in that. And then as I go forward, like, I guess my mind might evolve in maybe rearranging certain things or changing certain positionings and stuff like that. So there is still that kind of like versatility for sure. Um, However, outside of that, in this conversation, it's just kind of like, you know what, maybe I am a little more curious than I think. I think, yeah, curiosity is maybe defined in different ways, and I think I'll just speak for myself. When I think about what curiosity is, it's I think the constant seeking for knowledge, right? And higher still. So you might understand grade one, grade two, but then there are the subsequent grades to follow. So I'm the type of man who feels like I I'm probably at, a high grade, and I'm like, do I need to go higher than this? But I think one of the things that I would like to share perhaps is looking forward, and I'll speak quite predominantly on my professional uh, background. I think one of the things that I would like to see is after over a decade of doing what I've done and growing how I have, it would be interesting to see how I think the landscape will really, really shift. Because if we'll be very honest, um, I think we saw a huge, huge surge during COVID about the creative space, the entertainment space, the comms space, the marketing and advertising space, which called for a different kind of way that I think uh, men and women in these positions showed up for their own organizations, for their own SMEs, their own side hustles, for their own white collar institutions. So I think for me, I think where my curiosity, I think, would definitely propel is to kind of maybe uh, experience a new space. Um, not necessarily talking about relocating, but like I think just kind of
Yeah.
seeing how the landscape can shift, and what will that mean for the average consumer? What would that mean? Ultimately, I think where I work is uh, very big on lifestyle service, which basically just means like it's, offering solutions for your immediate need, right? So you need to go from point A to point B, you need to send a parcel, you need to receive something, so something that's definitely impacting like, the last mile. And that is something that I think has been quite interesting to see um, exist in different industries as well. So it's not just now like there's need to uh, uh, transport goods and uh, resources and services on a more daily um, style. I think when I was growing up, um, when we were in school and talking about goods and services and transporting and import and export, it seemed so far away and so big, and then now it's just something that you can really just do on our own just by the tap of an app. So I think this is what, coming back to it, this is what I think would really, I think, crack my mind much wider in terms of looking for maybe more inspiration and more when, I guess the day to day as we know it and as we see it uh, looks so much more different. And yeah, I probably will kind of like be that much more curious than I have been before.
Now I'm more curious to know how best you can describe yourself.
Ooh, how best would I describe myself? Give me an example of how you would describe yourself, Aka. 2 minutes, because it's very
Well,
clear you and I like words. So so let's put a cap on it and just say two
how
minutes
many words?
breakdown.
Two,
Like
two
a
minutes.
two like a
I
two
think I'm a
minutes kind of
delight.
like mm, mm,
I think I'm a delight when you get to experience me, but depending where you experience me,
mm-hmm,
I'm a delight if you get to experience me with my friends, because that's my safe space. I'm a big believer in safe spaces. So depending where
mm-hmm,
you get to experience me, you experience me in my work, at a hike, in a museum. You get to meet me in different forms. I love museums. I love quiet places. I love to read. So you have that calmness and warmness that you want. But then I am such a sunshine, energy wise. I have too much energy. So you also get to experience me in that form. But I'm always in between. Like I could be very quiet and very at peace, and I could be such a loud mouth. So I just genuinely believe I'm a delight. If you get to experience me, you should be like, oh my goodness. But I also like to argue. I'll be like, did that make sense in your head? So it's depending on where you meet me. Like when you meet me with people younger than me, because I'm like, okay, so you did that. Did that make sense? Like, yeah, I feel like we need to have those back and forth so that we can make the world a better place. But yeah, I genuinely believe I'm a delight. I hope I
Oh,
am. I
I
hope.
really like that. I do, and I'm not just saying that conveniently. I do like that, and I think you can also gather people by their energy, right? And how we interact, like depending on how you meet them, like you'd mentioned, you get different types of isms,
Yeah.
so to speak, from different people in different scenarios. I definitely agree. You are a delight for sure. I think for me, how I would describe myself, I would first of all um, like to believe that I am funny. I actually know that I'm funny. Obviously, again, it comes down to where and when you meet me, but I'm very funny. I'm super, super friendly. But I can turn it on and off. There are times where I'm just like, it's very natural for me to be friendly and just like approachable no matter where I am. I can be in City Market and I'm the guy who people want to talk to first.
Yes.
I can be, at East Park and I promise I'll be the guy that people want to talk to first. And it's just very, very fulfilling for me. I like being friendly and I came from a very, very um shy type of disposition. I wasn't the most outgoing. So to be able to describe myself as super friendly is quite important to me and it means a lot. I'm conversational. I love to exchange ideas. I love to receive different points of view. Um, no matter where I am,
Yeah.
friends, family, work, social settings. I really enjoy that. How else would I describe myself? I would describe myself, I think, um, to be very sincere and honestly very hardworking. Um, my family or my parents, very, very big on like, you must work hard, you know. And I took it for
Okay.
granted for a long time. I took it for granted. When I say for a
Yeah.
long time, like, being a child and growing up and what's this hard work that they're so obsessed with? And then get you get into scenarios where you're responsible for yourself, the way you represent yourself, the way you show up, the way you know, and then you start to hear, uh colleagues describe you as, hardworking. It's like, oh, so this is where this came from, it actually
Yeah.
came from home. Um, so I love to be able to recognize and live with it and just say, I am hardworking and I'm very passionate. I'm a very big, I think lastly, I can say I'm very passionate. I'm a very big advocate for as much as possible. Obviously, everyone has different circumstances and different um, uh, backgrounds and so on. But for me, I'm very, very passionate, and it's always, always, always been very important to live a life that kind of draws from, what means a lot to me. So all of these things, that's how I would describe myself.
I find that very interesting. Listening to you speak, and I was like, no one will ever say I'm friendly.
Do you think so? I feel like people would,
No,
Aka.
no. You know what? I actually wouldn't want to be described as friendly because for different circumstances, and I'm a woman,
Uh-huh.
so you
Uh-huh.
don't want to be too friendly.
I
It
see. I
it gets,
see.
and that's from that point. Because I also don't like people in
Mm-hmm.
my space. I have
Mm-hmm.
boundaries, and I'm like, why are you in
Mm-hmm.
my face? Why in my? And this
Mm-hmm.
is why I think my team comes so well, because then they're like a shield sometimes. Where I'm like,
Ooh.
okay, maybe you think I'm being friendly, but every single time something happens, I always have to text my friend and say, "Do you think I'm friendly?" If like, no, you're not. Then I was like, then this person has chivelish. Out
But the thing
on
about
any
my
given
friend
day.
is, Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
It's like I always have to ask my friend. Like I'll call and say, I have a question. Do you think I'm
mm-hmm.
friendly? No, you're not. You're kind, but friendly is questionable. And I'm like, that person is
Yeah,
out. And I
yeah,
think it's very important to kind of joke around and talk about these things and just acknowledge that how women and men
yes,
present themselves is very different. It's very
right.
different. And as a woman, as
100%.
a man, you have to learn these things early. I think I've had to learn them very early, and I've had to navigate them more the last year
Mm,
because of the
mm-hmm,
environment I was in. But very important for you to just realize and just say, do I want to be friendly?
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
find me friendly because we are acquainted in the past and we have history and we have something to talk about. So that's very easy. That's such a good talking point for me. Everybody else, friendly is a stretch. But I loved listening too, and it also reminded me my grandparents always loved saying work hard. Now I work hard and I'm like, this hard work. When is it
I
going to
just kind of like,
finish?
geez, yeah, but
I'm
this,
tired.
I'm telling you, like this hard work stuff is a slippery slope
When is
because
work going to work hard for me?
when is work going to work hard for me? Can the choir say amen? Because it's just kind of like, you know, at some point something's got to give because I've been the one in the forefront of this hard work. But yeah, no, for sure. I think friendly, I think, has always been a very big deal for me because I could not was socially awkward, honestly. Like you can't really speak around people. Kind of struggled to breathe. I don't know what it was when I was
But
coming
you're
up. So
so
then friendly.
outgoing now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. But like,
You're
no,
so
like I could
outgoing
not.
and such a fun person to talk to, by the way. You're really fun. I can confirm that I have had such a good
Ah,
laugh. And we've only been
oh,
like a few minutes in.
it's just been a
So
few
I'm like,
minutes. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just been a
no, no,
few
no, no.
minutes
Like,
in and I'm like, I get it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, for sure. Like, friendly has always been a big deal for all those reasons. And also being a man, I think we're also expected
Be funny.
to show up in certain ways, and to be like, that funny guy. You know what I mean?
To be
Anyway.
honest, if you're not, and this is like on a relationship point of view and friends as well.
Uh-huh.
I think I have funny male friends,
Uh-huh.
right? I have funny male friends, and if I'm dating and my partner isn't funny, I'm not gonna be the funny one in the relationship, obviously, for so many reasons. But I'm a delight, so I'm the energy. So I think it's such a good quality to have. I've just never had anybody say it up front, apart from my male friends. Well, like me, I'm funny because I'm like always having such a good time and I'm laughing, and
Uh-huh.
that's kind of the
Uh-huh.
best way to get to a woman is just make them laugh. Like
That
and
is
other things,
true.
of course, but just make them laugh. Like they'll be like,
No, that is
"Oh, I
true.
like the
I hear
funny
you.
guy
I hear
more.
you. I hear
I
you.
like the funny guy more."
Like the cool, mysterious one is, a bit off, but
No,
the
the
funny one.
nonchalant, forget it. Was scared. It was so attractive in our teen years.
Yes,
Not
when
as
the
an
world
adult.
was not, yeah, not when the world has evolved to where, yeah, but I concur completely. Yeah.
So you're working in an industry that is fast changing, consumer paced, and you also work with. I've noticed some of your work does involve young people. I just want to know what are some of the trends you're seeing happening, technological and non-technological, amongst young
Hmm.
people.
That's a brilliant question because one thing that I would like to start with is highlighting the fact that um, the younger the people, the faster trends evolve all the time, and it's like they're connected, um, regardless of geolocation or um, it's something that genuinely, even to now, I think is quite fascinating because um, one of the key trends I think is that whether they recognize it or not, but I'm sure they do, is that young people have especially the young people um, that we define as our target audience, they create a mass community, and whether they realize it or not, but I believe they do. They advocate for each other. They share emotions, and they rise up at the same time because they do understand that um, there's strength in numbers, right? So that's, I think, one of the trends for sure that I see, that that makes all the difference. And this is why I think it's also very important to um, a couple of things always be, I think, in tune with how they communicate and emote. Ultimately, I think for me, marketing has always been, especially in the more modern era, has always been uh, best executed if we're appealing to our audience's emotions, right? It's about how we're making people feel. It's about what we are doing for people. And I guess in that regard, a slight overlap with CSR. But coming back to it, the younger the people that we engage, we have to constantly, be aware of the various trends. Technologically, I think, particularly with social media trends, that's really one of the ways to get them going. So whenever they've got, like, something that, be it a TikTok dance, or be it a particular type of post, when they're doing it, to connect with them and to show that we speak their language. As naive as that might sound, it actually is quite key, and it works, honestly. Kind of chiming in that conversation that they are also doing, is a way to connect with them and to be a part of that trend and to really do understand them. And I think the focal point of where we drive, I think the biggest touch points for selling and retaining our audience bases will always be the capital city. Um, but outside the capital city, you will find, more than not, the target audience will obviously shift because the landscape is not the same from location to location. So what they are doing in the northern parts of the market, what they're doing in the southern parts of the market, and so on, there may be similarities for sure, but you find maybe it's more about how families want to um, get home, to their children and carry the groceries, and how they want to make it for work and so on. And maybe the hubs that are more capital, like, it's more fast paced. You find the trends over there are more about just kind of like expressing how, because if you take a look at our branding style in the digital spaces, we're colorful, we're bright, sometimes we're even like a little bit cool, so then it becomes about wanting to feel, associated with what that visual representation of the brand is. Another way of, I think, highlighting the trend of the young people. Um, but it's not one thing that you can, I think, completely really fully understand, for the simple fact that it's always evolving. And I think that's one thing for sure that technology is letting us know, is not to be comfortable. I mean, I think we've been talking about AI much longer than uh, um I don't want to say as a society. How can I say it? As I guess, like, as a global stage, we've been talking about AI for a lot longer than we like to think. We've been like, oh, AI, AI. And then, the truth is, it's been, I think it's just kind of really, really showed us, like, I really am, artificial intelligence, and letting, you know, us realize for sure that we can't get too comfortable. And trends, from our target audience, from youngsters, you can't, be, I think, the jack of all trades, because this time next year, is going to be completely different. Not just different, perhaps even irrelevant.
That's so interesting. And you brought up AI. I know the global stage has been speaking about it a lot, and I don't think as a country, specifically Zambia, we speak about it enough of what the impact of AI will be and how that affects everybody. We do say it exists, but I think that we're also in the middle of maybe it won't affect us. Maybe the jobs will still be the same way. From a marketing point of view and how fast the trends are changing, especially with the Gen Zs and the Alphas, what
Mm-hmm.
would you speak on when it comes to AI?
I think what I would speak on, especially from the context, very important context that you've raised of us here in Zambia, right? So maybe we can even go a step backwards and then realize, Zambia, where are we? We're a developing country. Um, we had the huge hit of the load shedding, for the better part of the last couple of years, you know. Uh, a lot of evolution in Zambia, and as much as generally I think the world over is talking about, oh, AI is going to do this, AI is going to do that. I think AI for Zambia, I truly still believe that I think AI would do more good than not. I think initially, for
Yeah.
for our economy. And for me, it definitely already has been making life a little bit easier, making work, let me say, a little bit easier because there are various types of um, projects that I would like to do that maybe are delivered a lot faster because maybe I've used a particular tool that would give me resources to apply into various projects, and then what would initially take maybe a whole week of going back and forth is just launched, much faster. So in that regard, I can definitely attest to it as an individual, as a working professional. And I really think that yes, for sure, it's going to change, government offices, it's going to change SME hubs, it's going to change schools. I still believe that it will do more good than harm. I know there's been a lot of discourse around the fact that people's jobs are under threat and I think ultimately we do have a responsibility to as much as we are able to keep up with the times and where is the world going, before you find yourself being left behind. I'm not sure if you've noticed on social media sometimes there are these animated stories of a particular who's struggling at work and he's not getting the promotions, but his younger cool colleagues are getting these
Yeah.
promotions, and it turns out it's simply because they're mastering some AI tools. And I'm one person who doesn't like change. I don't like change so much. I always have to, like, I have to stand still and grab myself in my head and say, boy, can we please, get with the program? And ultimately, yes, I tap in. And I want to encourage anyone else who's like ever had any fears of, diving into the unknown. And in this instance, we're speaking about AI, like, learn as much as we can, ask the questions that you can, see how you can apply it to your daily life, be it in business or in work. But again, I think for Zambia, we're in a place where, we've already suffered so many changes, some good, some maybe not as great, but I really just do think that there's more positive than not with this relationship that a developing country such as ours is at and the advancement of AI.
That's so interesting. And it feels so good. I do have a lot of AI conversations, and I love listening to all of you speak and give the different perspectives on how it's going to be integrated in our country and why it's a good thing. and why we think it's a good thing. And I use AI all the time. It does make my life easy. I think the most important thing about AI is it's going to give you what you put in. So it just amplifies who you are. It's like money. So depending on what you're putting in is what you're going to get out. So you kind of now have to learn how to master those tools, learn prompting. If you're a master at coding at that point, then it just really makes you amazing at what you're doing. So really it's such a positive way to kind of let everybody know it's happening, but you could still use it for your own advantage.
100%. 100%. I couldn't have said it better.
What does it really mean to be a marketing executive?
Ooh. Okay, okay. Carrying on with the good questions, a good question there. What does it really mean to be a marketing executive? Honestly, it's a lot more it's a lot more how can I answer it? I've got the response, but let me just find the right one. What does it mean to be a marketing executive? Really, it means that the particular role holds the direction of how brand comms will spread across the market, right? Um, it can be specialized in one instance, and then it can be very broad in one instance. And what I mean by that is the strokes can vary because it comes down to also thinking about well, not thinking about, it comes down to the reality of maybe various service messaging and updates. It could come down to product launches and features, and this particular role needs to know and to deliver the messages in a way. And when I say messages, it's multifaceted, right? The touch points maybe not as relevant for this part of the response, but I think this particular role, this particular function is to understand, like, what suits, like, big wide outreach of putting certain word out on behalf of brand, ultimately to impact bottom line, and maybe what does not quite need the most, I guess, big push. What does being a marketing executive mean? Being a marketing executive means I have to wear very many hats. I have to wear very many hats. And sometimes I have to wear the many hats at the same time. Um, a lot of the times I find myself wondering how I've done it all. Quite honestly, kind of wondering, how it's been possible to just be on the other side of so many brilliant projects. Obviously, some maybe not as great, but the ones that have been really fantastic, and what I call a fantastic project are those that, got the people going, and really just moved the emotions out of the audience. Those are the ones I'm most proud of, even regardless of the fact that, bottom line uh, uh, met or exceeded its KPI. But being a marketing executive, honestly, as much as it's very high pressure, very demanding, it is rewarding, 100%. And I don't think I would um, change it too much.
Sounds fun. It really does sound fun. What's the one thing about the marketing industry in Zambia that you wish more people understood?
One thing that I wish everyone understood, honestly, is a few things, but I think at the forefront is that it's not simple. I think that a lot of people and a lot of brands think it's an afterthought, right? And it's a luxury. It's like not every institution, not every business, not every SME, not every corporation needs to have a strong marketing piece. But really, it's quite critical and it's quite crucial. Um, and I just think that there needs to be a little bit more appreciation around that. I think if there's ever a time that we saw, even in smaller economies compared to those in the West, even in smaller economies such as ours, we've seen, what marketing can and cannot do. Um, and I think maybe that's the main thing, honestly, is just kind of like I think let's move with the times and realize that marketing functions, marketing departments, marketing agencies and organizations and all of them um, are real. Uh, they're critical, they're useful. And it's, because I've had instances where, people will uh make comments about how, oh, it's just very easy, just put it on social media. Oh, it's very easy, just, um, make a post. But it's not, honestly. It's not that straightforward. There are processes like um uh like that, like most other functions might realize. There's processes, there's procedures, there's consideration as well. Time and place is very important. You don't just want to be that guy that you know has this role and you're just kind of like doing the wrong things. um so some of the few things that I just do wish that, maybe could be re-evaluated. I do see, I think there is definitely a shift. Perhaps that shift is not happening as quickly, but ultimately it is. I saw this definitely from the agency side first before I became an in-house marketer. So from the agency side, I could kind of get a very good sense of, okay, there are brands right here locally that are really, really tapping into and understanding the value of the marketing function, its expertise, resources, and all that goes with it. Definitely, 100%. And then what made it possible for me to agree to say, yes, let me move to be an in-house marketer. At that point, it was, you know, realizing that on this side and with this representation, it's an organization, it's an entity, it's a movement that has a very, very profound appreciation of how brand is perceived and received and um, acknowledged, and it kind of makes it, I think, all worth it in terms of being on both sides, right, of the spectrum. But I think, yeah, there are some strides, probably not as fast, but I think all in all, it would be great to have like a much, much stronger um, appreciation for marketing. And when we say marketing, that's very broad, but yeah, a
Yeah.
much, much stronger appreciation for the industry.
What advice would you give your younger self?
What advice I would give my younger self? I probably would say uh, be patient. Um, I would say have faith, and I would say trust. And very, very important to for anyone as well. Tap into uh, your intuition. If in your heart, in your stomach, or wherever you have that feeling, that sensation that says, I don't know, listen to
Yeah.
it. Listen to it,
Yeah.
listen to it, listen to it. And I would tell that young guy, I would say, Phatiswayo, like, I need you to, that spark, is not from without. listen to that, respond to it. These are some of the things that I would tell my younger self. But I'd also tell my younger self that, you're a cool guy, yeah, 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 you're in charge, yeah, you know what you're doing here and there. So just kind of go with the flow, you know, uh, mind your business, don't overthink, and it's going to get better. It's wild right now, but I promise you it's going to get better.
That leads me to think, what advice would you give to a young man? Yeah, someone younger than you.
Ooh, what advice I'd give to a young man right now? I think, one of the things that I envy about these younger generations is that their world is that much more different. And this is what I mean. Um, I'm a millennial, right? And for me and my peers in our generation, there was a certain level of ambition that we were afforded, a certain amount of, uh, I guess, profession that meant, you're worthwhile as a child or as someone who's finished school and so on, and that definitely made for some tough times. I know that I eventually got into marketing and I've been going on and on about how, this is, something that means a lot to me and all of that. But I wonder if it would have been different if, we came from a time where we're allowed to dream as big as we want, and follow those same dreams. I wonder how that story would have been. However, coming right back to it, I think what advice I'd give a young man, maybe like 10 years, my junior, 15, um, I might definitely say that um, explore every avenue, you know, explore every avenue in academia, in sports, in creativity, and realize who you are because life in general um, can be heavy. And I think we all need, you had mentioned earlier about safe spaces. And I think we all need a safe space, whether it comes in the form of lovers, family, friends, or careers. So my advice would be explore as much as you can, um, ask all the questions, make the experiments, take the risks. You're still young, so you definitely will bounce back. And then when you've tried it all, be mature enough to realize that, all right, at this point, where did I feel like I was most gratified and I felt like there's something that really resonated with me. I am so envious of how these younger people are coming from a position that says, you can be the next young Firoz. You can be the next, for us, there was nothing like that. It was letter writing, to get a job, at someone's company. I promise there was no conversation around betting on yourself and being the guy who, because maybe I would have been the man who had the biggest, marketing agency known to man in this side of the world, had, that kind of, yeah, I guess, um, encouragement been instilled in us from when we were coming up. But for the younger guys listening, try it all, do it all, and connect with yourself and realize how do you see the world and how do you feel when you're done kind of expressing across these various vectors and make some decisions from there. But definitely what I would encourage for every young person, not even just a young man, but for every young person listening.
I like that. I think for the first time, all the young men will be like, finally asked a question about us. Finally. Because I'm always like young women, women. But anyway, I
Uh,
really do like, yeah, I really do like that advice. And I'm taking it, so I hope they do. What does success look like for you in the next few years, personally and professionally?
Personally, I would like to continue to explore my relationship, get married at that point because, I'm not getting any younger. I would definitely like to venture, I think, deeper into what, because I really do feel like the future is ride hailing. I would like to see just how much further it would go, again for our landscape, right? Imagine a Yango train. It's got the times, um, it's got the times of the various locations to pick people up and all of that. Very, very interesting. I think, personally, I think I just want to continue to be the best I can be in the various titles that I have, within family, within all of these spaces, love, and all of that, to be the very, very, very best. To finally start my family, and we're on track. That's another episode, but we're on track. Stay tuned. Um, and then professionally, yeah, and then professionally, once again, it's just about the next frontier, the highest point. Um, we've broken some records, we've made some strides. I still believe that sky is the limit. And so professionally, that's what I'm looking forward to. Looking forward to more features, more launches, more insights, wider territories, and let's see how it goes. But I'm very, very confident. It's looking bright.
Phatiswayo, I'd like to give you an opportunity to ask me a question.
Ooh, I had a question, but then now I have a few. So let me just kind of see which one. I mean, okay,
You could
for
ask
me,
2 or 3. I feel like you have questions.
I have a message on my heart. Okay, so
Okay.
so I think, with all the work that you're doing with the Diary 101 podcast, there are different personalities that you've engaged in um, very, very high offices in each of their respective ways, right? What has it meant for you to be a curator, right, of of this platform? What has that meant to you? And the second question would be, I know it can be quite broad to say, what does it look like in 10 years? But I think
Yeah.
it would be nice to hear, what one intentional thing you would like to see in the next couple of years, outside of, you realizing the things that you're learning right now through this learning phase and then applying those lessons, something a little bit more tangible, if you would. Please, over to you.
I hope I remember the second question, but if I don't, I'll ask. Um, I think also don't. I can't grasp the fact that I'm actually the curator of this podcast. That I'm the mastermind of what a lot happens. I do have a team, and they are so amazing, and it does take a lot to build a team. But this really just happened in my bedroom, and I told my friends, shout out to my friends for always indulging my nonsense sometimes, and just being able to say, hey, I have an idea, and 2 years later this idea is just forming into something amazing. It's something I'm very
Mm-hmm.
grateful for. I do think the podcast brand is bigger than mine as an individual, which is great. I am such a big believer in something should outlive you. And however we can make the podcast outlive me even in my death would be amazing, and we will get to that point eventually. But just being able to speak to different individuals is such a delight. And I get so humbled every single time. And you all are so nice. Not nice. You're so kind. You're so kind. Because you'll be like, you're doing amazing. And I'm like, I doubt my sanity every day. But just putting it out there, I doubt it every single day. So just, I also can't believe I'm behind it. Like, I can't believe I'm behind the things I do, and it has nothing to do with somebody told me like maybe I doubt it's my self-doubt or my worthiness and everything. I'm like, it has nothing to do that. But when you look at it from somebody's point of view, and the little girl in me maybe like at 15 would be like, I can't believe I can speak in public, or I can have conversations, record them and publish them to the world to be received in any way it's going to be received. So honestly, I really genuinely don't believe that I'm behind all this. I'm just always like, okay, that happened. But overall, the last 2 years, I've been so grateful. I do think that I'm supposed to be where I am in this moment, and I know that it's going to be an amazing future ahead. And I'm just grateful for people like you just saying yes and reminiscing and good laughter and having a great conversation. So yeah, I really still can't believe I'm behind the podcast, but such a great platform. As a brand
Yeah,
itself, proud of it. Like,
yeah.
I feel like I'm just an employee. Like, like I just come to work at this point, but everything we do in the background is worth it.
No, well done, well done. And I was basically, with the second question, I was basically curious to find out a tangible win that you would like to see. I'm just summarizing now. A tangible win that you would like to see. And this does not have to be limited to the podcast. It can also be um, with your work in
Yeah.
um, in development. What tangible win would you like to see in the next couple of years?
I'd say in the next 5 years, personally, like I'll start on a personal note, not as control over my time. That would be a tangible win for me. Like when both companies are able to function with not me spearheading every little detail for it to
Hmm.
run, that would
Hmm.
be a tangible win as an individual. Like I love to travel, so if I can get my work done and go, I'm good. So, but for everybody else, not even bad. So for everybody else, I'd like to see us have more intentional conversations about what's really
Hmm.
happening in terms
Hmm.
of technology, education, like what's really happening and how is it really affecting the young people around us? How is it affecting our work? How does it make it better? How can we transition? And it's also realizing I'd like more conversations on, I'd like to hear more people talk about how entrepreneurship is the path, and you have to leave university or high school knowing that you will not get that dream job that you were wearing your career outfit in your primary or secondary ages. Not that because it's unbelievable, and some people will get it, but just the fact that you know that it gets less tangible every single day. I would like to have more of those conversations because it comes as a shock. I don't even know why it comes as a shock, because we see the statistics and we still choose to go the traditional route when you could still go a different route professionally and thrive at it. I think the trends are there. They are showing us to say, hey, this field or this industry is not hiring as much, but there's a high possibility this company might hire in this industry. And we're not having conversations on why are people not investing to going that route or that different route on industry. Because when you think about institutions, education institutions that offer these courses, they follow where the demand is. And if the demand is, we'll all go to do nursing, we'll all study nursing, we'll all study teaching, because government will employ, is they will offer those courses, and they won't tell you like, okay, yeah, but we have 3,000 people graduate and only less than 100 get jobs in that field. So just getting to a place where maybe I'm being an idealist, where we have more of these conversations from high school to the gap year everybody takes to university, mentally preparing everybody that your career will not look like what they said it will look like. It will not look like what it is when you search on Google. I don't even think our careers look like what we say when you search on Google. You might search and it will tell you, but I feel like this will phase out in a few years. So just being in a space where we can talk about that. And that's like one of the most tangible things. I can't wait, just having those conversations. But another one would be creating a system where young people can get experience before they graduate, or just entry-level employment. I know a lot of conversations about entry-level employment is that it's phasing out, but it's so important because you get to learn a lot about yourself, your career. It's how, yes, it's phasing out, but how do we keep it? How do young people still get entry-level experience? Because I can't be a marketing executive if I haven't started from the bottom. I can't just jump right and compete with you. So it really still starts at the bottom. So how do we still conserve that even with AI? How does AI improve entry-level employment? How does it improve workflow for small organizations and big organizations? I think just it's the current challenge we are trying to figure out. It's so big and so small, and you kind of need to break it down. But like in the next 5 years, if we could have something tangible that is in a small way solving that, and if we could also now start having real-time conversations about career development and transitions, entrepreneurship, and the future of career. Because the more we have more people build companies, it means that the more we have more job creations to hire, because not everybody can become an entrepreneur. So I think those are like my two tangibles I would like to see. I will actually write this down somewhere. I think about it, but I never have. It's not written
Oh,
somewhere. So yeah.
brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much for answering. And I'd just like to come in and just say that uh, one thing that I definitely have been looking forward to, I think, the last few years is seeing more deliberate changes around the education system, more so what is being taught in these classrooms, right? Not just about, Pythagoras theorem, Independence Day is this is what coat of arms means. You know what I mean? Like I would like there to be tools and skills that really reflect where the generations are right now and where they're heading. I think it's a sure way to secure futures. I think it's a secure and sure way to kind of like manage expectations, which you've rightly been touching on. Instead of all thinking that we're all going to land that dream job in that corner office, some of us are going to be the owners of said dream job businesses, and others won't. But these things can only be achieved, I feel like, when there are some more intentional efforts around rewiring some structures.
Yes, and I just want to mention that you actually answered the next question. So now I'm like, do I ask it? Do I let it go? But yeah, I will just ask it.
Please,
Maybe you have,
please.
maybe you have a different answer. But my last question to you is, what do you look forward to?
Ooh, what do I look forward to? Let me give it a think. Um, I look forward to, so I do this thing every morning, right? When I wake up. So every morning when I wake up, and I've been doing it for a few years now, I list um 10 things that I'm grateful for. So not only am I religious, I'm a Christian. And those 10 things every morning when I wake up, I highlight to God how um 10 various things that come to my mind mean to me, right? And all of this is not to, to kind of be, look at me. It's very much an exercise that just helps me, I think, stay grounded and to stay hopeful, um, and appreciative, honestly, because I think as a people, we can tend to take things for granted, and when I practice that, I find myself looking forward to the day, looking forward to the week, looking forward to certain ambitions that I would like to realize for myself professionally and personally in a given space of time, be it a quarter, be it the half year, the second half year as we're getting into at this point. Um, so this practice, I think, kind of helps me um, keep my North Compass. What I mean by that is just kind of like um, keep me on track to where I want to go or what I want to see or who I want to be. So that is really what I look forward to. I think I definitely look forward to uh, these these moments that then kind of remind me of where um, I am and where I'm going. I do realize this response might be a little bit broad, but it's really the truth. What I look forward to, if I was to maybe try and um, give a more refined or specific response, is I think what I look forward to is um, for many, many, I feel like for very many years we have um, been in spaces that tell us that, Zambia and Africa is the next generation of this big boom in whatever type of way, economically, technologically, professionally. I think I'm really looking forward to being one of the players in the region that can demonstrate that, um, Africa and particularly Zambia is not just kind of like a place to kind of like uh, take out of, receiving, resources and minerals and all of these things, but we actually are a space of very, very um, intentional people, very, very um, uh, willing, So I am kind of looking forward to being one of those people that is just kind of like changing certain narratives about um, our locale. This is something that I look forward to just because I know how much it means to some people. I think maybe in my community, in my professional community, how much it means to them to just kind of be received on the world stage much more. Uh, what can I say? To be received, I think, much more. Um, can I say? Just to be received, like, with the kind of, I think, reverence perhaps of all the work that they do. There are people who are doing some big, big things, making some big decisions in mining sectors, in government spaces, in so I think I do definitely look forward to being one of the players. I think particularly, speaking for the marketing realm, to just kind of be an example, to be like, these are kind of the things that they're doing in Zambia. These are the kind of things that they're doing in Namibia. These are the kinds of things they're doing in the southern region, and thus, expanding in distances. So that's really something that I think, for the foremost, that I can share to say I look forward to.
Thank you so much. It's something great and always a great way to end the session. Thank you so much for joining me. I do look forward to seeing how you get to shape Zambia, the Zambian narrative, and Africa as well. I think that we need people that are actively speaking about it and want to be in the front end. Because we all can't be at the end and say, no, wait for someone to do it, then we'll join the cause. So thank you very much for your service. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, so we'll come to the end. It was such a joy hosting you. I have learnt a lot and you made me speak a lot. So I was like, it feels like I'm being interviewed, but it was so much fun to, to get to listen to you speak and just also have some space to reflect on the type of work that I'm doing. So thank you so much for joining us. It was such a joy. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, I really, really, truly did. Very, very grateful. I have said it before, I said it again, and I'll continue to. Very, very grateful for the opportunity. I really do appreciate being afforded the time to express myself as comfortably as I felt. It's been such a warm space. It's just been very welcoming, very inviting. It means very, very, very much to me to be able to kind of share a little bit of what I do, who I am, and where,
Yeah.
I'm taking this whole party. So, so yeah, I am very, very happy, and let's do this again sometime.
Of course. Of course we will. And for everybody listening, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. You can learn more about what Phatiswayo does through his social media platform on LinkedIn and Yango. So you now know who's behind all that. Cool, right? So you can share it with a friend and subscribe to our channels. From us now, it's bye for now.